Following yesterday's video with the new patch that we got, we actually went over what were the best ARs after the update, and in this video we're going to be going over what are the 6 best SMGs to use after the update, because we did get a lot of changes with some of the Vanguard ones as well. If you do enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 50k subscribers. Click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. But let's get straight into this because there's still quite a lot of things that we need to cover. So first things first, I just want to quickly show you the patch notes. We're not going to go through all the details on this because I pretty much pulled all the data from this and put it into our spreadsheet anyway. So it's the May the 4th update. We've got the SMG changes right here. So certain damage profiles were changed, certain bullet velocities were changed, barrels were changed. On top of that is pretty much every single just Vanguard SMG that pretty much got a slight adjustment here. So we've got the Armaguerra, Tommy gun, Owen gun, PPSH, Sten, Type 100, MP40, which is the submachine gun Charlie, well gun as well. And all this changes are actually updated on the sim.gg website as well, so you can check that out. I'll leave a link to that at the end of this one. If you want to check out our assault rifle video, I'll leave that linked at the end of this as well. But we took away all this data and we plugged it in to our TTK calculator here. And we also made some quick notes about what was actually changed in terms of TTKs. So we'll quickly go through that and then we'll go over what are actually the best 6 SMGs to use now. So Armaguerra got a 2nd and 3rd damage range TTK buff and a headshot damage buff. So the headshot now will probably reduce the overall TTK of the weapon when it comes to the Armaguerra, which is really good because this gun wasn't all that great. But it's now probably going to be like an overall solid sniper support option. But as you can see here, this TTK here and this TTK here in the 2nd and 3rd damage range was buffed slightly. Wasn't a major buff, but overall. Now, when it comes to the Tommy gun, it did need an overall TTK buff, which is what it got. And if you used all the kind of fast fire rate attachments like the recoil booster, the faster barrel, and the mags as well, then you're going to get a pretty solid TTK at close range with this gun. But overall it's still got quite a bit of recoil, so I feel like they should have adjusted that as well with the weapon. When it comes to the MP40, it just has a little bit better limb damage now. There's no overall TTK change to the chest at 300 HP, which is obviously what we're testing here. But overall, it will be a little bit more forgiving than it was before. Next up, we have everyone's favorite, which is the Owen gun, and it actually got a close range TTK nerf. Now, you can still use this gun really well, and the build for this gun has actually changed, and we'll go over that later on in this video. But the close range TTK was nerfed for this gun because they reduced the fire rate of the rapid barrel and some other slight changes as well. We got the PPSH, so it had a long range TTK buff, but I don't think this is really going to help this weapon all that much. Anyone who does use the PPSH is mainly using it for that really quick hip fire build. So having a long range buff to this weapon is just not really going to help out too much. So I don't think that's really much of a change in the slightest. We got a long range TTK buff with the Sten, but once again, it's a very fast moving SMG. People mainly use this for close range only. So having a long range TTK buff on this gun is not really going to help either. Type 100, the 3rd damage range TTK got buffed as well. So again, this is a very close range SMG. Depending on how you build it, actually, it could be good for long range too. But the main way people use this is for close range. So I don't really see that 3rd damage drop off point getting buffed, making this gun any better. Well gun got the same thing, but the only difference with the well gun is it's a very good low recoil sniper support option. So having that 3rd damage range buff with the well gun is actually a solid change. What I've done now is arranged all these weapons in terms of close range TTKs, because that is what we're mainly focusing on for these guns. As you can see here, the Type 100 with the build that I will show you later, it has the fastest possible TTK. They did reduce the visual recoil of this gun, but overall it's still kind of a hard weapon to use. Owen gun is still pretty solid in terms of TTK, and I still think it's going to be one of the meta weapons. Like I said, you just need to change the build for the gun itself. Vanguard PPSH is up there if you do build it for hip fire, pretty solid overall. Tommy gun's up there, but I don't really think it's a great weapon. MP40 is now absolutely solid once again at close range. It's probably going to be one of the best options to use, to be perfectly honest with you. Sten's okay, but the OTS is a little bit better, even though the TTK is a 10 milliseconds slower. It's just a better to control weapon overall. Then we've got the well gun and the MP5 in here. The lap is pretty decent too. Starting off at number 6, we have a well-rounded SMG that I do think is pretty solid on Rebirth as well as Caldera as well. Overall, it's got good damage per mag, and if you do build it slightly differently, it could be a really solid sniper support option as well. But we're mainly focusing on the close range build for this gun. So you want to use the recoil booster for the faster fire rate, Gwine short barrel for the faster fire rate, again going to give you a faster TTK, slate reflector optic or whatever optic you like, remove stock for better movement and sprint to fire, fleet for better movement speeds and weapon swap quickness, but you can also use gung ho as well. Both are really solid options. Quick for better, faster movement, obviously. Fabric grip for better ADS, sprint to fire. 64 round mags, because this is the mags that are going to give you the fastest possible TTK. Lengthened and hand stop under barrel to control the recoil, because there's not many recoil controlling attachments on this gun already, and you do need a little bit of recoil control. At number 5, we have the only Modern Warfare weapon that I think deserves to even be in this list, and the close range TTK for this gun is pretty much the exact same as the well gun, and the well gun's a little bit more accurate in my opinion, so it's kind of just about hanging in there by a little bit of a thread, to be perfectly honest. So when it comes to the build for the Modern Warfare MP5, we need to build it for speed, is the only way to use this weapon. So monolithic integral suppressor for the sound suppression, bullet velocity, 5mm laser for the better hip fire and sprint to fire, stipple grip tape, or you can use sleight of hand as well. Both are really good options. FTAC collapsible for the better movement speed, and 45 round mags because it's the biggest mags available. Next up at number 4, we have the Lapa SMG. Now, even though it has a slightly slower TTK than the well gun, overall I do think it's a better sniper support weapon. Obviously the build will be a little bit different to what you see just now if you are using it for sniper support specifically, but if you're building it for a close range SMG, which I think still works really well as, then this is the build for you. So regular sound suppressor to give you the better movement, ADS times. Rifled barrel is going to give you the fastest possible TTK on Caldera. BR compact is going to be the fastest possible TTK on Rebirth, so just keep that in mind. Then we've got the Microflex LED, the 50 round mags, bruiser grip. Now if you are building this as sniper support, definitely agency suppressor, definitely try and maybe go for the field agent grip, and that'll be a better sniper support option if you want to use it. At number 3, and a lot of people will be happy with this one, the OTS is still a solid SMG to use right now. At close range, it has one of the best TTKs. Overall, it's a little bit easier to use than some of the Vanguard options, and most people just like the OTS in general, so that's going to help out a ton and make this gun really popular. So when it comes to the build for this, is mainly for close range. If you can use it for sniper support, but I do think the Lapa is a little bit better when it comes to a sniper support option. Now for the muzzle, you want to use the standard sound suppressor for the better movement, ADS, task force barrel for the strafing speeds and the range, bullet velocity. We've got the bruiser grip for better movement speeds, the VDV 40 round fast mags because it's the only mags we can use on Caldera now, and the Microflex LED optic. Now you can remove the optic, put on maybe a serpent wrap for better ADS, or you could put on a stock if you really wanted to as well. There's a couple of different ways you can build this gun, but overall I like having the optic on there. I think it's just a little bit cleaner. I'm just used to using optics on Vanguard weapons now, so I feel like it's just something I want to have on this weapon. At number 2 now, we have the OWEN gun. Now, even though it has one of the fastest close range TTKs in the game, I feel like slowly they're going to nerf this gun a little bit more, and then it's just not going to be viable anymore. So at the current moment, this is the build you have to use to get that 570 millisecond TTK, which is the second fastest killing SMG in the entire game. So you do need to use the recoil booster. You actually now need to use the precision barrel because even though it reduces your body damage, it actually gives you a buff to pretty much everything else, and it does increase the TTK of this weapon. You need to use the 72 round 9mm mags as well. That's going to give you that faster TTK. Now, everyone's mentioning that it's going to give you worse recoil control, which it does, but it's going to give you that faster TTK, so you need to make that trade-off there. You've got the M1 hand stop under barrel, lengthened, fabric grip, fleet, quick, remove stock, so nothing's really changed with the rest of the build, and slate reflector. If you are struggling with recoil on this gun, you can put the polymer grip on there, and you can even use brace if you really wanted to as well on top of that. But now the precision barrel is getting used, you actually do get recoil control anyway, so I feel like the fabric grip is a solid option with this build overall, and this is the way you have to build the OWEN gun now to get that second fastest TTK in the entire game. So it is a solid gun still. And at number 1, and again, we have the MP40. Now this was meta for like ages when Vanguard just dropped, and I do think it's going to be meta again, and the reason for that is because it has a really competitive TTK, But the difference between this and the OWEN gun is that you're pretty much going to land every single shot with the MP40, whereas the OWEN gun you will be missing some shots because it does have a bit more recoil. Plus the fire rate is quicker on the MP40, so it's way more forgiving. So overall, I do think this is the best SMG in the game now. So you want to use the recoil booster for the faster fire rate, the short barrel to get the better TTKs now, slate reflector remove stock, or you can use the folding stock. Both are solid options. Steady, or you can use perfectionist if you need that extra recoil control. Quick, fabric grip for the better ADS, sprint to fire movement, all that good stuff. 45 round Grenko mags are still the best on this gun. Lengthened and the hand stop underbarrel. I do think the MP40 overall is the best SMG in the entire game at the moment if you're talking about just for ease of use and TTKs. So there we have it. Those are the 6 best SMGs to use inside Warzone at the moment, especially after that May 4th update. Now I do have on screen as well a build for the Type 100. Now a lot of people ask about this gun, and it is the fastest killing gun in the game with this specific build. So if you do just want something that has the raw TTK, then you can use this gun, but I don't think with the recoil control it has, it's going to be like on that top 6 list, and that's why it wasn't in there. But if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 50k subscribers. Click that link and subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.